Welcome. We will do Vagrant setup in this session, which is real simple. We'll just download Vagrant from its official website and install it. So let's see, search download Vagrant. We'll go to the official website vagrant.com, its download page. And we are going to go with Windows operating system 64-bit version of Vagrant. So download this, click on this button and save the file. File size is big, so I'm going to pause the video and come back once the download is completed. Okay, download is completed. Now let's kick in the installation. Let's open up the file. Let's start the installation. So just double click and just follow the wizard. You have to take all the defaults. So click on next, accept the license agreement, and yeah. So this is going to take some time, and also we need to reboot the system. So let's finish the installation first. Okay, my installation is completed and it will ask me to reboot my computer. So you have to do the same thing once the Vagrant installed, reboot your computer. So I'm going to do the same thing and then come back once it's done. Alright, welcome back, or should I say myself welcome back. I have rebooted the system, I'm back. So as we know, Vagrant is a command line tool, so we need a command prompt. So we can use our command prompt in Windows, CMD, which is very slow, sluggish. So we are going to go with git bash. Throughout this course, we are going to use this as our default terminal to enter commands. And git bash, more benefits that you get, you can execute Linux commands also in git bash. And so you'll see so many times in the course we'll be using this as our command line editor. So it doesn't look so good as of now, so let's make its look and feel little better. So I'm going to go to options and change its look. So first we'll increase the font size. We'll select, go to text, select, and let's go take 14, bold, should be good. Let's apply. So this will make the font size a little bigger and visible to you. And look, foreground and background color also is good. I'm going to go in foreground green. You can go with white, your choice. Background I'm going to make as white. Say OK. Apply the changes. Save. And that looks so much better. So let's execute some Linux commands here. pwd, show me where I am. C drive users olive. So this is the olive users home directory. So I will go to D drive cd /d/, and here I'm going to create a directory called Vagrant, mkdir Vagrant, which will create a directory. I'll go into that directory, and here we are going to create two VMs, CentOS and Ubuntu. So I'm going to create directory for CentOS VM, CentOS 7. And we'll create one more directory with the name of Ubuntu 16. ls will list. So let's get into CentOS 7 directory, and here we will create the CentOS 7 VM. So I'm going to issue first a Vagrant command, which is Vagrant init and the box name. So as we have seen in previous session, we can find the box name from Vagrant Cloud. So let's go there. So I'm going to look for Vagrant boxes. If you want, you can bookmark this link. And I'm looking for CentOS 7. So that's the one, CentOS 7. I can click on it. And it is telling me to have this entry in the Vagrant file. We'll see how that can be done. So this is the box name. So it's better you do copy paste. So if you give a wrong box name which is not available in Vagrant Cloud, then you're going to get an error. So it's better you copy the name. Well, CentOS /7 is not such a difficult thing to type, but some boxes have complicated name. Initially, copy paste will be better. So Vagrant init and the box name, hit this command. Now let's see, it says a Vagrant file has placed in this directory. You are now ready to Vagrant up your first virtual environment. Let's do ls, and there is a Vagrant file here really. To read the Vagrant file or to read any file, any text file from git bash, you can run the command cat and the file name, which will show the content of that file. And you see there's really so many lines in this file. The better view will be from Notepad++. If you don't have Notepad++, install it because we will need it so many times in the course. Or if you have a different editor or IDE which is your favorite, you can use that. But if you don't know about that, just install Notepad++ on your system. So let's really go to the place where we have created this Vagrant file from our file explorer. So as you see, we are in a D drive Vagrant CentOS, and there we have our Vagrant file. So open your file explorer, go to the drive where you created. It's not mandatory to be on D drive. If you choose to be on a different drive, you can do that. It's not mandatory to have the directory name as Vagrant. You can have any name. The directory naming convention is really of not any importance. I'm just giving name Vagrant because we are doing Vagrant sessions. So that's our Vagrant directory we created. In that we have CentOS 7 and Ubuntu. Let's go into CentOS 7, and there you have your Vagrant file. So right click on this file and say edit with Notepad++. If you don't get this option, open Notepad++ and drag and drop this file. Okay, so that's the Vagrant file, and here you see so many hash in the beginning of most of the lines. Hash represents comment. Well, you see the word here, Ruby, right? It's a Ruby script, but don't panic, okay? Don't panic, really. You don't need to know Ruby programming for this. Even the Vagrant documentation also says the same thing. You don't need to understand or learn Ruby to create a Vagrant file or make changes. All you need to do is you have a Vagrant file, a base Vagrant file, you can make configuration changes. So hash is a comment in Ruby. That means any line that has hash at the beginning will be ignored by Ruby interpreter. Okay, so this will be ignored, this will be ignored. But you see here you don't have a hash. So this is some setting. Actually your Vagrant file starts from here. Vagrant.configure to do config. Don't worry, don't try to understand this, just leave it as it is. As of now you need to understand this. There is a setting in here. So the code starts here and completes at the end here. You see end, that's where it completes. It's not commented. And in between this you have settings for your VM. One is config.vm.box, and you see the box name CentOS/7. So if you have given a wrong box name, you don't need to worry, just open the Vagrant file, you can make the change and save it. So that's the box name, that's all we have over here. Keep one thing in mind, Vagrant file V, there will be V capital. Now we are creating Vagrant file with Vagrant init command. Later we will be creating this file ourselves manually. And understand few points here. This is where the code starts and this is where it completes, end, and in between you have settings. Config, the word config, config.vm.box, and config.vm.network, config.vm.provider. All the settings will be like this, starting with the word config. So that's all we are going to understand right now in the Vagrant file. Let's open our interpreter, our git bash. Okay, so Vagrant file is here and I'm going to issue the command Vagrant Up. So this is going to take some time. It is going to read your Vagrant file. You see, bringing machine default up VirtualBox provider. So VirtualBox is the default provider. Let's open VirtualBox. Okay, you see there is a VM that is getting created over here. When you issue this command for the first time, it will download box. First CentOS box will be downloaded on your machine. So initially it's going to take a longer time to bring up the VM. Once the box is downloaded, CentOS/7, that box is downloaded, then whenever in whichever Vagrant file you mention CentOS 7, it will not go to Vagrant Cloud, it will use the local box that's already downloaded. In short, you just need to create a Vagrant file and say Vagrant Up, the VM will be coming up in few minutes. So while this VM is coming up, let's look at its detail through VirtualBox. That's our VM, and this you can click on properties here and see. So you see their base memory 512 MB. That's the name of the VM. It's the directory name that we created _default, and some numbers. Operating system Red Hat based 64-bit, and what else? Network adapter. It's one adapter that is connected to NAT interface. And while we are talking, the VM is already up. So I'm showing you VirtualBox. I have opened VirtualBox just to show you that how the VM is getting created here magically. But you really don't need to use VirtualBox. If once you have Vagrant, you are going to use only Vagrant to control your machine. So let me clear the screen now. And you can issue the command Vagrant SSH. This command will do SSH to the VM that you created. You should be present in the directory, the VM directory. When you do Vagrant SSH, it will look for some information there. So logged in inside the VM. See how easy was that? Created directory, Vagrant file, Vagrant Up, Vagrant SSH, logged in. VM is up and running. And then you can play with your Linux machine. So it will be logged in with Vagrant user. A user called as Vagrant will be created. And when you do Vagrant SSH, it will log in with that user. That user has full sudo's privilege. So you can do sudo -i and can become switched to root user. Once you're done playing, you can just exit and just read the prompt, check the prompt, exit. Now I am on my local machine. Okay, D drive Vagrant CentOS 7. When I do Vagrant SSH, my prompt will change. So it is logged in inside the VM. You see the user here is Vagrant @ and the host name. So you can understand by looking at the prompt also that are you in a VM or outside? Exit, I'm out on my local machine, on my laptop. So let's say you played enough and now you want to power off, you're done. You can power off your VM. So let me bring this VirtualBox here. And again, I'm just showing you VirtualBox just to show how it's really working. So Vagrant halt. This command will power off the VM. Once you're done with your work and you are going to shut down your laptop, before you shut down your laptop or desktop, make sure you power off your VMs first. So Vagrant halt will power off this VM. And again, you need to be in that directory. You see, it's powered off. Once it's powered off and you need to bring it up, and first I'm going to do cd, go into some random directories. You need to come to your VM directory first, D Vagrant CentOS 7, and then you issue the command Vagrant Up. You need to be again in the directory for your VM. First time when you do Vagrant Up, it will create the VM. From the next time onwards, Vagrant Up means power on the VM. Again, this is also going to take just not as long as we did to create a VM, but it's going to take some time to bring up your VM, as much time as it takes to boot an operating system. That's all. And you see VM is already coming up. It says running. Okay, VM's up. Again, the same story. If you want to log in, you can issue Vagrant SSH. And if you want to power off, you can say Vagrant halt. But if you want to delete the VM, you can say Vagrant destroy, which will delete your VM. Now, before I delete the VM, let me just show you one more thing. Sometimes you may get some problem or issue with your VM not coming up. You may see some error here. So go to your VM, just double click on it. If it opens cleanly like this, you see a login prompt. That means the VM has come up properly. If not, you will see some error here, like if you see acceleration disabled, virtualization, some error, that means VT or virtualization technology is disabled in your BIOS. There could be some other errors also. So it's most of the time the problem with the hypervisor with the VM and not with Vagrant. But as we issue Vagrant command to bring up VMs, we mostly find, or we think mostly the culprit is Vagrant, but most of the time it will be your hypervisor or your VM. If you're interested in doing login from here, the username is Vagrant and the password is also Vagrant. Same thing. Right, control button to release my cursor. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm going to delete this. I'm going to issue the command. Let's clear the screen first. Vagrant destroy, which will delete the VM, of course, with all its data. Now, people generally ask me this question when I issue Vagrant destroy: what will happen to the data? Well, the VM is going off, so of course the VM is getting deleted. So of course everything inside this will get deleted. So what about the data? Well, we'll see that in next sessions, how to preserve your VM data. If you have any intention of preserving some directory in your VM, we can use other concept like Vagrant sync. That we'll see in the next sessions. Okay, that is gone. Now let's do same work for Ubuntu. Let's again go to D drive, Vagrant, Ubuntu. And here I'm going to issue the command Vagrant init Ubuntu / Xenial64, which is a box name that I got from Vagrant Cloud. There, Ubuntu / Xenial64, official Ubuntu 16.04 LTS. Its default provider is again VirtualBox. And says all you need to have this entry in your Vagrant file, which is already there when we issue that command. So Vagrant init Ubuntu / Xenial64, exactly same name what I see on the Vagrant Cloud. If you have this in your mind that this is the VM name, then it's wrong. This is not the VM name. This is the box name, image name that is on Vagrant Cloud. So hit that command. It will create the Vagrant file and you just say Vagrant Up and wait for a few minutes and the VM will be up and running. You can see that in the VirtualBox. It will come up in some time. So I'm going to pause the video and come back once the VM is up and running. Okay, VM's up. Again, same process. To log in, I will issue Vagrant SSH. Logged in. Again, here also you are logged in with Vagrant user, and this user has full privilege. So I don't know if you observed this or not. We are bringing up VM, that's fine with Vagrant, but it's just not only bringing up VM, it is already creating a user for us, a user with root privilege to do sudo, and it will do few more things that we will learn slowly. So it's not only just about bringing up VM or creating VM, it's more than that. I'm out of the VM and again I'm going to power it off by saying Vagrant halt. VM's powered off. Let me clear the screen. So we know ls command just list whatever is the content in the current working directory. ls-a will show me all the files including the hidden one. So .vagrant, you see there is a hidden directory there. This directory will have information about the VM that you created, that VM. How to log into it. When you issue the command Vagrant SSH, it will have keys and information of how to log in. When you say Vagrant Up, Vagrant Halt, Vagrant SSH, it will get all the VM information from this directory. So don't make any manual changes to this directory. Vagrant is going to manage all those settings inside this directory. So now you have really seen two nice examples of how to bring up these VMs, one CentOS 7, one Ubuntu 16. It's real simple. I can still show you very quickly a recap. I am in D drive Vagrant directory. I'm going to create a directory, let's say CentOS 6. I get into that directory. I issue the command Vagrant init CentOS /6. That's a box name available in Vagrant Cloud. You can search it, CentOS /6. CentOS /6. Vagrant file is created. Now I need to run the command Vagrant Up and wait for a few minutes. So you see box CentOS 6 is not in my system. So it's downloading it from the Vagrant Cloud. Once the download completes, it will bring up the VM. Box download is completed. Now it's bringing up the VM. VM is up. Vagrant SSH to login. Logged in. Exit to come out of it. Vagrant halt to power off. And Vagrant destroy to delete the VM. Say yes. VM's gone. You see, the life cycle of the VM can be so easily managed. You have seen the recap. Actually, it was not really recap. I was doing all of that. I'm just pausing the video for a minute or so. And all you see how simple commands that I executed: created directory, created Vagrant file, Vagrant Up, Vagrant SSH, Vagrant halt, Vagrant destroy. So I hope you enjoyed the video and you loved the magic of Vagrant. If you have been creating VMs manually, I know now you will think of switching it to Vagrant. And you should really switch to Vagrant. So that would be all in this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.